Hi there, welcome back to Scribbles and Ink Stains. My name is Mary and I am super excited to be back. I haven't really been doing anything unique, but last week was our first day back to school with students on campus, so I really wanted to prioritize sort of that move-in, get to know you period of time. So while it's been on the back burner, I have by no means abandoned my stationery obsession. It was Hobonichi Day. I did place an order for some planners, and I do have a video coming up walking you through some of my decisions and some of my changes this year for planning. That will be to come, but the purpose of this video is to just go through a weekly what I have inked in terms of my fountain pens. And I'm going to organize that around two different pen cases. Basically, this is my daily carry for school. I've got 7 fountain pens in this case that I port with me to and from. I'll be talking about the inks and swatching them for you. And then in my Galen leather case, I'll have 5 pens that always stay at home. These are inked up. These are what I journal with in the mornings, in the evenings, when I have time to sit down and sort of reflect on my day or memory keep. Timestamps, of course, will be listed below if you prefer to scrub around and jump through. This is really an excellent way, if you've never done this, excellent way to get to know your fountain pens and your ink stash. All right, we will start with this TWSBI Eco. This is in the clear demonstrator model, and I love this pen. I have always loved this pen. It has a wonderful inner seal here. My TWSBIs I can ink up. They're piston fill, so they hold a ton of ink, and because of how well the cap seals, I don't know if it's a combination of this O-ring rubber gasket or this inner cap, but these pens will write out the gate even if you haven't picked them up for a year. Although, of course, if you have fountain pens, I would recommend you bring them out and use them more frequently than that. This is currently loaded with the mix-free platinum ink in the color Silky Purple. And I bought this probably 2 years ago. The bottle is currently about half full. So let's do a big old swatch for you. It is a lovely magenta. This is a fine nib, and the TWSBIs, even though it's a Taiwanese company, generally the TWSBI nibs run larger than the Japanese counterparts. So these are more akin to the Western nibs in terms of sizing. TWSBI Eco. So wet. Such a gorgeous pen-ink combination. I always journal with this pen. This is how I denote the weather daily in my memory keeping Hobonichi A5. I'll show you an example of that. I think you can see on both of those spreads what that ink looks like. I'll do basically a little icon with the forecast and then expected high and expected low. Just the Eco. Fine. Loaded with platinum, mix free, and I forgot what I called that, Silky Purple. Now I can't tell you exactly when I bought this ink or who I got it from, because both Goulet and Jet Pens within the past several years have sort of revamped their websites, and the order histories just don't go back that far. When I have individual swatches available, I can pull them out and show you some of the characteristics of the inks in larger swatches. Now that won't always show up in the writing, but in this case on the Tomoe River paper, over here I do pick up quite a bit of sheen. It's kind of a gold-green sheen, if you can catch that in the light. And here I can share with you a longer writing section just from my journal. All right, next up we have another TWSBI Eco. This one is the black, and this is the 1.1 stub nib. It is loaded up with the Sailor 123, which is a gorgeous multi-chroma ink. I'll show you here in a moment. This was the second Eco that I bought. I knew I wanted to experiment with broader nibs for headings and subheadings in my memory keeping and journaling. It is a, look how gorgeous that ink is. TWSBI Eco 1.1 Stub, loaded with Sailor 1, 2, 3. This ink tends to be a little bit light in finer nibs, so I feel like this is a really good match. And again, I loaded this up about a month ago, and I expect you'll see this in multiple currently inked. In a moment, you'll be able to see the gorgeous shading in with this ink in this 1.1 Stub. I love it. Now, brief interruption to the TWSBIs in my pencil case to visit this Kaweco Sport in the color Macchiato. It is gorgeous. It is a broad nib and currently loaded with the Dominant Industry Winter Wood. This is one of their standard inks from Dominant Industry. It is not sheening. Again, just looking for a broader nib to include with some of my journaling. You may have noticed that this takes a little bit of priming to get it to flow. I'm not certain whether, I don't have enough experience with this pen, it's fairly new to my stash, to know whether that's this nib or this ink pen combination. All right, Kaweco Sport. Once it starts writing, you're fine, but it does definitely take some priming on the paper to get it flowing. Macchiato in broad, and this is the Dominant Industry Winter Wood. I love this dark blackish brown. It is really up my alley. If you look at the little cap, you can see some of the characteristics of this ink. In a finer nib, obviously it would be quite a bit finer. And I've ordered some strips to do some chromatography, but they haven't arrived yet. Okay, so next up is my TWSBI 580 Mini in rose gold, and this is in an extra fine nib. Gorgeous pen. I love it. I currently have it inked up with the Robert Oster Gold Antiqua. And I can't remember who, if I remember or if you know, please leave it in the comments below. But someone commented on their ink swatches that this was a fairly good dupe for the Pilot Iroshizuku Inaho, which is kind of a baby poopy brownish yellow ochre, which I really, really wanted to get my hands on because I do some illustration with fountain pen ink, and it's right up my alley. It's my wheelhouse. While I've never tried that ink, I really love this Gold Antiqua from Robert Oster. This will also give you an idea if you've never worked with a TWSBI Extra Fine Diamond 580 Mini Rose Gold. It writes beautifully. This ink just flows out of it. It is so smooth on the paper, and I love it. You even get some of that sheeny shading that Robert Oster is so known for. Gold Antiqua. So this is really my limit in terms of expense of pens that I'm willing to take with me to school. Alright, so this is the TWSBI VAC 700R. It is a whopper huge pen with a vacuum filler. Alright, and this one, I knew I wanted to fill it with a blue ink. This I use for grading, commenting in school, writing out lesson plans. I knew I wanted a comfortable pen for that. It's a fairly big pen, but unposted, it is comfortable enough for me. So this is the Pilot Iroshizuku Shin-Kai. It is a big nib for me. TWSBI VAC 700R. R just signifies this is a redesign, and it's filled with Pilot Iroshizuku Shin-Kai. Everyday writer, you will not run out of ink with this pen. would be great to travel with. I really love it. All right, last two pens that I bring to work are, this is the Kaweco Perkeo, and I like bringing this if I have students who express any kind of interest in fountain pens. This is a great pen. It's also fun to grade with this pen. I typically use it unposted. It is really light though, and if you like to post your pens, you could certainly do that without it affecting the balance of the pen. All right, and this one is filled with the Sailor Shikiori Fuji-Sugata. This is a sample that I got from Goulet in a kit. It's in a medium nib, and it's loaded with Sailor Shikiori Fuji-Sugata. Medium tip is a little juicier than the medium that I'm used to. We'll be looking at that in a moment. And basically this pen does not come with a converter. I just took a standard international short cartridge, the one that came with one of my Kaweco Sports, rinsed it out real well and filled it with a syringe from that sample vial. Did I say medium? Yes, medium nib and snap cap. Fun. I don't hesitate to loan that one out. Okay, and the last pen in my pencil bag that I carry to school with me is a Sailor Compass 1911. I bought this purposely to expand my collection of less expensive fountain pens. It is an MF nib, and I sort of wanted to see what that was all about before investing in some of the pro gears that you're about to see. All right, so this is it's a gorgeous ink that this is loaded with too. It's loaded with the Shikiori Harahara. So if you like small writing in these little boxes in your Hobonichi, this is one of the less expensive pens that I would recommend for that purpose. It is elegant and clean and smooth enough. So Sailor Compass 1911, and this is their medium fine steel nib. Super elegant, I love it. And it's loaded with Sailor Shikiori Harahara. That is my daily carry. So just in conclusion, I'm really happy that I'm starting this series. I did learn a thing or two about the inks. It really helps me focus on consciously using specific pens, not just at home when I'm journaling, but also sort of incorporating them in my professional life. So I very much enjoy doing this. I've already filmed and will be posting pretty quickly my more bougie pens that stay at home. These are the pens there are 5 pens that I am rotating through in my journaling life at home that I have already swatched and will share with you in just a couple days as soon as I can edit it. Again, thanks for joining me. Let me know if you do currently inked series. I would love to know where you post them. Just link your information down below in the comment section. I already have a few favorites that I follow, but this is one of my favorite categories of video to watch. And with the plethora of samples available, I feel like I have a system for procuring new inks without necessarily having hundreds of bottles kicking around for multiple years. Although this one is about halfway gone and I do use them, so I'm happy to indulge in this hobby. Thanks so much. Let me know what you're up to in the comments, and I will see you in my next video. Ciao.